Yes, ladies and gentlemen, episode 14 of Pokemon Horizons titled Fly Wattrel just dropped, and this episode ramps up the drama to both Liko's plot and advances Roy's character. How does it do that? Let's talk about it. This episode has two separate stories going on, so let's start first with Roy's story. At the end of last episode, Roy and Fuecoco return to find the Wattrel they met earlier. It runs away from them at first, especially since they're being chased by a Vespiquen, but eventually calms down once Roy gives it an orange berry. They learn that the Wattrel can't fly. It also seems to have a fear of heights, which if you're a bird is not ideal, so Roy decides to help it fly again. At first, he wants it to jump small distances to the water, but it's too terrified to, so instead, Roy collects some soft grass and lays it below a small rock. Roy shows that it's not that bad to jump on, so after concentrating hard, the Wattrel is finally able to jump on the hay. However, it still struggles to jump to the water. It's evening time, so they have to return to the ship for the night. However, overnight, Roy thinks about how he can help the Wattrel when Ludlow arrives behind him and Roy gets an idea. The next morning during breakfast, we see that he built a small rope contraption, a safety harness with Ludlow's fishing rod that can hold up Wattrel while it learns to fly. So he goes back to where Wattrel is and has it put on this contraption. As he's holding it up in the air and gives it some momentum, the Wattrel flaps its wing as hard as it can, and so hard that electricity breaks the contraption and it begins flying, albeit with not much balance, and help with a gust of wind gets it up in the air and flies away to the tower with the other Wattrel. Even Murdoch, who saw it from a distance, comes in and congratulates Roy on his training working. As he's about to head back to the ship, Wattrel sees Roy walking away and flies towards him. Murdoch gives him a Pokeball, and even though a gust of wind sends it off course, Roy is able to curve the Pokeball and hit it, allowing him to capture it. That means Roy has finally got his second Pokemon in the party, Wattrel. This is a nice moment for Roy as we see the type of trainer and person he is. And him helping this Pokemon out that he didn't really necessarily need to ends with him getting rewarded with that Pokemon's friendship. I like that unlike Ash, we see that Roy is still a kid. Even though he's thankful that he helped the Pokemon, he's still sad. And you can interpret it either way. You can say he's sad because he won't see Wattrel again, which is the Ash thing, or he's sad that he didn't get to capture Wattrel because he does tell Murdoch that even though he should be happy, he doesn't feel so happy. And I like that. The episode keeps it ambiguous as to what the reason is, and it makes him feel more like a real kid. He's not just this perfect I can help Pokemon and then walk away type person. He kind of expects to be rewarded, and I really like that. And now to the more drama-filled part of the episode. Since last episode ended with Spinel stopping the reboot of the Brave Asagi via his Magneton, this episode begins with Dot trying to figure out why, but she can't. That's when Friede hears the ship's Noctowl and goes outside, seeing that there's a collection of Magnetons specifically stopping the networks on their ship. He thinks that the way they're moving, they aren't wild, so he follows one of the Magneton from near the airship and starts chasing it. Meanwhile, Murdoch and Liko go shopping, and while doing so, Murdoch tells Liko that he appreciates that Liko is Dot's friend. Liko also says that Dot helped her give her the courage to tell her father that she wanted to be a Volt Tackler, and afterwards they go shopping. It's cute, and they get ice cream together, and as they're returning, Murdoch mentions that he couldn't find the specific spice he was looking for, but oh well. And that seems all fine and dandy, except we also find out that they're being followed by a Behemoth. Friede follows that Magneton to Lavencia into an alleyway, and he's ambushed by both the Magneton and the Behemoth that we see from earlier that followed Liko and Murdoch. It traps Charizard with Psychic while Magneton hits it with multiple Zap Cannon and paralyzes it. The Pokemon are, by the way, Spinel's Pokemon, and they have a small microphone on their collar so he can command them remotely. And after trapping Charizard with Psychic, he wants Behemoth to use Meteor Beam. So in order to dodge, Friede pulls out his trump card and terrestrializes Charizard, turning it into a dark type. It's able to now completely resist the Psychic and use Terra Blast to heavily damage the Behemoth. However, before he can get any answers as to what happened, Behemoth and Magneton teleport away to Spinel's lab. With now seeing Friede's strength and knowing more about Liko, Spinel begins his action. The morning where Roy's using the fishing rod to help Wattrel, he sends a notification to Liko's phone saying that the spice that Murdoch was looking for is available now, but only in limited quantity and only in specific areas. This kind of shows how naive Liko is, because who would believe that? Anyways, she heads off to Lavencia by herself. When she gets to where the location on her phone tells her, it's a dead end. That's when Spinel bumps into her. As she's on the floor getting ready to pick up her phone, she's hypnotized by Behemoth. and Spinel walks away with her pendant in hand, with Liko not remembering anything. And that's where we end the episode. The way Spinel moves is genuinely creepy and well done. He's shown as this extremely calculating guy who looks at all possible options before working on a plan. He's very different from Amethio, who goes headfirst into anything. The whole section of him disabling this ship, following our heroes to learn more about them, and then finally striking shows how cunning and manipulative he can be. I'm interested in seeing how they deal with him compared to Amethio. We still don't know what the explorers want with their pendant, so now with it being in their possession, I hope we find out soon. But what did you guys think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you think it was also genuinely creepy? Let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, be sure to like, share, subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at PdGaming, and that's it. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.